Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning. Thank you for joining me for my pre market analysis and strategy session. With that said, I've got the SPY up on the screen right now. Why? Because yesterday was the lowest volume in the SPY for the entire year of 2023, the lowest day volume. Now, what did that mean? As I told Discord, anytime we have such low volume, you can see market manipulation. What does that mean? It means, say we're sitting at 411, we could go down 2 points in a spur of the moment. Say we're sitting at 409, we can go up 2 points or 0.5% on the SPY in a moment, in a flash. So when we take a look at yesterday's SPY charts, I'm going to show you exactly where that happened and what we saw. So when we're looking at yesterday's chart, we were pressing 413, 413.50, and we dropped significantly. We dropped 2 points back down to 411 before getting bought up. Now, being bought up with the same amount of volume was great, but again, we still topped out. And we look at the end of the day, the volume was selling. When we go back to the 5 minute chart, we're seeing the same thing as we exited out of Friday. So understand, I am still a bear. We did have a short covering and a bear push on Friday when the markets shot up ridiculously. But let's remember, on Thursday, the markets went down ridiculously. What do I have right here? This is kind of my cheat sheet. I show you guys every day that I draw it out myself. Now, what's the first thing I acknowledge about yesterday is the SPY range. We moved 2 points from $413 on the high to 411 on the low. Now, if I show you my chart and we look back to last week, we can go back to last Tuesday and Wednesday, and we went from 408 all the way to 415, a 7 point range. So you ask yourself, why aren't we moving? Why is it such a narrow range? Why is the volume so light? So you have key events this week. We've got CPI data dropping tomorrow. I will be live tomorrow morning, and I'll ask all of you to join me at 8:25 a.m. so we can bring in CPI together. The estimates on CPI are 5 to 5.1 for the most part for most institutions. And again, I will go over that later. But key information this week: CPI Wednesday, PPI data on Thursday, jobless claims on Thursday, consumer sentiment on Friday, and we still have three more Fed speakers, again, with some earnings. So what does that mean? What kind of effect does that have in the market? Well, I told you about the low volume, but let's talk about why it has such low volume. There's a record $5.3 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines as the market gets more bearish, per Business Insider. So the Business Insider is telling us there's $5.3 trillion looking to be invested in the market, except not at these levels, that they're waiting for a pullback. With that said, CPI estimates for tomorrow: Morgan Stanley 5.1, Goldman Sachs 5.1, JP Morgan 4.9, Citibank 5.1. So it's all 4.9, Scotiabank, Wells Fargo 5.1. So it's everywhere from 5.1, 5, and 4.9. I haven't seen anything lower than 4.9. I haven't seen anything higher than 5.1. So more than likely, we're going to come in line. Well, let's remember last month when we came in as expected, what happened? The market shot up only to throw up on themselves and go lower. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting the same thing. I'm still a bear. Now, we can talk about my positions that I mentioned on Discord, but first, what do I like to use? I like to use the GEX these days. Now, the red generally draws the SPY up like a magnet, and the green usually repels the SPY. So when I put yesterday at 413 on Discord saying that it's likely we will repel 413, and then we went to 413 and 10, 413 and 20, and I was like, okay, the time that I make a posting about the GEX levels and how easy it is and how accurate they are, it's not going to work this time, but it did. We ended up rejecting 413. We went back to 412.50, and we ended up the day at 412.70. With that said, we're down overnight probably 0.33% or 1 point on the SPY. So what can be contributing to that factor? And we will talk about my prediction for today and some option plays that I am currently in and what I plan to do with them. All right, Goldman Sachs joins Barclays in a bet against Fed rate cuts this year. But every day I come on and I tell you the Fed funds rate for the end of the year is estimated to be at 5.18, and the market thinks the Fed's funds rate at the end of the year is going to be around 4.30, meaning a discrepancy of 86 basis points, which would imply three rate cuts throughout the end of the year of 25 basis points each. Well, right now, Goldman Sachs And again, Barclays is joining, and they're saying that there won't be any more rate cuts or any rate cuts this year, which is something I've been saying for quite some time, which is why I am still a bear in the market. The Fed has made it quite apparent that inflation is their main concern, that they don't really care about the direction of the market or the impact it has in the market. And yes, they are protecting banking stocks. With that said, there are some banking stocks off this morning. The same Pac West Bank Corp, and the same, what is it? WAL. What bank is that? Where is that? Western Alliance, the same banks that were crushing it yesterday. Pac West up 3%. Western Alliance was up a little after being down yesterday, as high as 30. They're back down this morning. Western Alliance is back at the $25 range to $26. And Pac West is back towards the low end of the $5 range, $5.17, off 13%. So, with that said, you could also see the market taking a bit of a hit this morning. What am I looking at specifically? I'm looking at Carvana, which is off. Oh, not Carvana. Sorry. Well, I am looking at Carvana a little, but I'm also looking at Shopify, which is off 1.5% this morning. Why? Because Shopify had a massive 3-day run up. What did I do yesterday? Fourth day is going to be today. I bought puts. I bought them towards the top end. I'm still probably down, 10, 12% on them. Maybe not at close. Actually, got to check it out. No, I'm probably down maybe 7%. With that said, I expect Shop to come back to the market, come down. Talk about what else I'm in. I had to grab an AMD put. I ended up going a little heavier into AMD $90 puts that expire this Friday. My average is 43 cents. They close at 41 cents. With that said, I'm definitely expecting a pop to about 60 cents. I think AMD had a kind of a ridiculous run. I mentioned yesterday on Webull that I thought NVIDIA was extremely overvalued. I have no position in NVIDIA. But the fact that its PE is over 200 and change, its sales towards earnings ratio is still extremely high, not as high as Amazon, but still extremely high. I'm in some Intel puts. I'm off like 8%. I'll probably be positive this morning. Okay, so what else did I want to speak about today before we get into the direction of the market and the SPY ranges? Let's just see what else I want to pull up. Apple announced yesterday that it reportedly raised as much as $5 billion from a 5-part bond sale that'll include 30-year paper bonds paying 1.3% more than Treasury bonds. Well, Apple has a tendency to pay a little more. Let's talk about the Apple Savings Account run by Goldman Sachs. Apple's paying 4.15%. I believe Goldman Sachs on their savings account is paying less than 0.5%. So there's a 4% difference. With that said, I talked about that. Here it is. This is interesting. Interesting. Let's just see if this picture comes in. Okay, here we go. Credit card rates. Interest rates and credit cards has now surpassed 20%, the highest level since 1995. Why is that important? Because so many retail consumers are carrying ridiculously high credit card debt. Now we're going to go back to, again, yesterday I mentioned the GEX levels, and I showed how we can use these on Discord, and I'll show you again today. GEX basically determines the valuations and the premiums based on the 0 days till expiration options. And again, the red line usually acts as a magnet, 413. The green lines actually act as support once we get down to those levels. So you'll see green line right at 411, 410, red line at 413. So when I said it's likely the SPY was to reject 413 and probably head down to the 411 range, that is where I come up with that hypothesis. And generally, it's been pretty accurate lately. Meta, I got into a Meta put yesterday. Love on the platform. Accounting professor, great contributor to the platform, extremely intelligent. She was in a Meta put or two. So I waited for Meta to go up to $234.70 before I bought my first Meta put yesterday. Now, they've been talking about it for 2 days, how there's a bearish divergence on Meta, how we're expecting Meta to go back down, how we're expecting Meta to fill the gap from the earnings where it shot up, 25 points, that it's going to consolidate and come back a little. AMD, I already mentioned. Here was my profit yesterday. Again, sometimes on Robinhood, my smaller account looks all distorted, But anytime I'm green, I'm going to secure profit. I don't care why I'm green. I don't care if it was a gift. I don't care if it was spike. Remember yesterday we saw that huge spike downwards. Again, my positions all turn green. What do? I sell them. Why? Because I'm a trader. I'm here to profit. I'm not here to ride the elevator, not here to ride the train. Again, more information on the GEX level from Trading Ticks. Why is this important? Because that's whose software we use when we analyze the market. The same software that big money uses, unusual options activity, bullseye trades, anything like that. That's what we have. And that's what we use on our Discord to make things and trading easier. So I just pulled up Discord right now. Let's make it a little larger. I'll show you what I use. So start off each morning. I'm going to go in and look at the top flows. Top flow. Maybe it's top flow. Flow. Be sure it's on. Okay, great. So that pulled up. I want to see how the market is bullish, bearish. I'm looking at the top flows. Top flows are a little larger on the put side. So I'm looking at Nvidia, perhaps, which will lead the market. SPY. There's my Shopify. Definitely planning on seeing Apple there, which leads the market. And again, we know Apple's been pushing up since earnings. Look at the reverse side. Okay, Qs have a little action. Google, not really. Silver, I get it. Alibaba's down pre-market. China got shit on overnight. So then what would I do? I'm going to look at the dark pool levels. So I understand where I might find support or resistance on the SPY. It's pretty important. So the fact that we're sitting, let me just get the SPY up here. Let's see where the SPY is. Oh, that's Palantir. We'll talk about some companies that had earnings yesterday as well. I definitely have them to talk about. Okay, so I've got the SPY up. We're looking at pre-market. We're sitting at 411.41. So I'll look at the chart here. Dark pool level is 411.41. What do we see? We see we're right at a dark pool level at 411.37. The next dark pool level higher, 412.72. What does this mean? It means, let's say the SPY or the market gets bought up on open this morning. So we go from 411 all the way to 412.76. Where did we close at yesterday? 412.74. Understand, we generally close right on a range. And this happens to be the largest dark pool level out there. So this is telling me if I'm a bear in the market, I'm looking for rejection right around yesterday's close. If we see rejection around yesterday's close, that would put us around 412.76. And I think we're definitely going to drop past this level right here. Again, yesterday's trading range was 2 points. Day before, 3.5. Last week, we saw 8 points. So let's just say we see a 4-point trading range and we're at the top around 412.76 around yesterday's close. Then we're probably going to be the bottom 4 points lower, 408.60. So again, another dark pool level. Now, these levels, since they're so small, are known as like ghost zones. Again, larger levels, easier to act as support and resistance. Smaller levels, easier to pass through. So that's what I do right now. I'll make a mental note. I'll write it down. 412, 410, 408, 406. I go by basically 2 points to tell me. Then what will I do? All right, well, let's look up the market net flow. So let's check out the net flow for the market as we ended yesterday. And then we can also look at the algo flow and see how we ended yesterday. Okay, so market net flow as we ended. Let me explain the chart for you. First, the white is the price of the SPY or the price of the market. As you can see, we closed right around 412.74, which is right here. What am I seeing? I'm seeing the cost for puts, although they came down a little, they still look extremely bullish, which would be bearish for the market. The cost or the net premiums for calls increased a little, but we went from negative 10 million to about negative 7, something to that extent, a negative 10, while the puts were above close to 14 or 15. So that's telling me it's still extremely bearish. Let me see if the algorithms are telling me that the market should change or perhaps be aware of it. So let's just see where the algorithms are telling us the market should be. Okay. So again, here's your price of the SPY. So it's up here at 412.75. The algorithms were saying it really should have closed around 412. So there is bearish divergence. So does it surprise me that we're going to start this morning off 0.33%? No, it doesn't. So then you make two assumptions today. Let's remove that chart. Let's add one more chart. Let's add back the SPY and let's go. I have the 3-minute chart up. Let's use the 5-minute chart and add it to the screen. Here we go. And we'll work on our predictions today. Okay, so now I've come up with my prediction today. I want to see if it makes sense into my charting. And I say 413 and change. Yesterday's high will be today's high. However, we're going to drop a little lower on the support level. So I'm going to use the 1-hour chart. And we can see right here that we kind of rejected right here. And prior to that, I'm just looking at any lines that might come across into play. 413.40, 413.50. So I'm going to say 413.65. Again, I'm looking for the top of the range. 413.65 seems a little high compared to yesterday. Let me actually take this down. We're still probably a little high. 1 hour. No, let's go down to 5-minute chart. No, let's find a 30-minute chart. Can we view that? Okay, here. Yes, perfect. Okay, 30-minute chart. Okay, a little cleaner. Again, we're looking at where we rejected yesterday. So we rejected just under just around 413.50. So I'm gonna look at yesterday's chart. I'm gonna go back and say the previous days all the way to the beginning of May, we stayed under there, dating back to May 2nd. So I'm gonna still say 413, 413.50 high end. I happen to think we're gonna reject the 412.76 dark pool. If we do, then I want to go back and I want to look at the day ranges again. We've had a couple of day ranges off the drop that we've seen significant movement, but when we don't, I'm going to go back to my chart, okay, where I drew it out. Let me just show you where it is. Here we go, dating back to last Monday. And I'm going to look at the averages movement for the day. So the average movement for the day, we got 413, 410, 3 points, 410, 406, 4 points, 404, 408, 4 points. So at the minimum, 403, 407, 4 points. I've seen at least 4-point moves every day except 2 days. Last Monday, which we went 416, 414, 2-point range. And yesterday we went 413, 411, 2-point range. Understand, last Tuesday, we went from 414.78 on the top side to 407 on the bottom side, which is an 8-point move. So again, if I'm telling myself we're going to see something similar, and let's say I give it a little, I expand my range a little, and I say, okay, let's just say 414 is the top, but we see a 6-point move. 414 top, 408 bottom. It makes sense with all of last week's action. It falls right within the range. We're not going to have a breakout. You know, you've heard some tools talking about, yeah, NVIDIA, clean breakout, AMD, clean breakout, Apple, clean breakout. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. We've been trading the same range. I made a posting probably over the weekend, the last 4 Fridays. The S&P 500 is finished at like the same range for 3 of the last 4 Fridays. All right, let's talk about a couple different stocks that I have on my watch list and why I have them on my watch list. Again, on your watch list, you want to take it down in size. If you're looking at over 20 stocks and ETFs, it's too much for your mind. If you're looking at 5, you're going to understand the ranges of support, the ranges of resistance. You're going to be able to predict better the movement of individual stocks. So what do I have on my list this morning? Well, Lucid had earnings. They severely disappointed. Their manufacturing numbers went down. Their sales numbers went down. Everything went down. They dropped 9% overnight from 771 down to what, $7 flat. It's at 702 this morning. Why is that important? Because we have members on our Discord that are here to help you out. When Lucid dropped, and we have people that really like Lucid as a long-term investment, but when Lucid dropped to $7.40, fair warning was given that the support could break. So Lucid closed at $7.71. What an idiot this guy was. No, because when you get into call options, let's say you got in at 741 and rode up to 771 and you're holding overnight and Lucid has earnings and now it's $7. Fair warning, it is down 4% from that 740 level. Actually, it's down about 5% from that 740 level, whereas you're up pretty substantially. Okay, so that's Lucid. Palantir, which went up as much as 28%. What do they like to do on Palantir? Sell the spikes. We saw Palantir not too long ago at $10. So the fact that it was $7.74 went up to $10 after hours, up 28%, and then it has since pulled back to $9.16. I'm not getting involved in Palantir. Don't want any piece of it right now. PayPal, I suggested PayPal might miss. PayPal was being sold off at the bid yesterday, and now we're going to be back at that 70 $172 level. Why is that interesting? Because the $71 level is right here towards the bottom, right there towards the bottom. So we haven't seen a substantial drop there. I'm going back to the 3 month. It still seems to show support right at that $71 level. So as we bounce higher to 72 and slight change this morning, I'm going to be really paying attention to that $70 level on PayPal and understanding that if it drops below that $70 level, we can see something at play. I've got the SPY and the Qs, and then of course I have Shopify. Why do I have Shopify? Shopify went 3 straight crazy days, volume intense. Understand, even when volume dies down, I was assuming, okay, Shopify will either flatten out, but what's more than likely to happen is profit taking. 3 straight huge green candles up. I'm expecting on the fourth day a little retracement. In fact, my Shopify estimation was that Shopify would drop back under $60. So the fact that it's off 1.5% this morning is great. I would love to see it off like 3% back at like the $62 range. That would give me some hope running into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's remember CPI, PPI, jobs numbers, consumer sentiment. Yeah, the market could definitely move a lot. I've heard some people say bull case scenario, 420, 430. Bear case scenario, me. Yes, we're going to retest that 404 level. Well, 404 was not so far away. We're about 3% away from it, right? About 8 points, actually about 2% away. And the $400 level is 3% away. So yeah, with bad numbers or hot numbers for CPI, PPI, I think we're going to hit that level. I had D-Dog on there. Again, it had the same kind of chart, except Shopify squeezed a little harder, but you have 4 straight days of inflow. Understanding the last day, yesterday, was a lighter volume. And again, the spike was a little less. It was 2.5%. But D-Dog did have a good end-of-day volume and spike, so I have it on there. Carvana, why? Because Carvana likes to rip crazy. Again, I'm looking at a lot of these stocks that have these spikes, whether it's a 1-day spike, 2-day spike, 3-day spike, because after a spike, there's always consolidation, there's always profit taking. The same way when you have a stock crater to the downside, a lot of people go, okay, well, it's off 20%. That's a little too much. And then you see after hours and only trades back up to 12%. And you hear people on your Discord talking about, I just made 8% in this stock only play after hours. I bought the dip. So just be careful, be cautious buying the dip. That's Carvana. I've got a little Google up there. I was wrong about Google. Google was looking extremely strong going into yesterday morning. I took the loss on my Google position. Nothing you could do about that. When I see there was buying again, Google was a little off. I've got TDoc, shouldn't be there anymore. I was trading it yesterday. I made some profit, but I'm going to remove it. Microsoft, again, not a surprise when Microsoft goes back to $304, $305. We're at 308 yesterday. We're at 307 this morning. We were at 310 to start yesterday, closed at 308.65, 306, 78 this morning. I still think we're on our way down to 305, 304. With that said, you're talking about 1% lower on the Qs. If Microsoft is off, if Apple is off, if Netflix is off, if Amazon's off, they all should be off around the same percent. Okay. So again, I'm looking for a little more pain there. Starbucks, I really don't trade Starbucks. I should take that off. I've got Intel here where I will be finally green this morning on Intel. I entered those puts, actually one put contract yesterday. Anything else of interest right now? Again, I'm in a Meta put. We're at 231. Where can Meta fill? Well, when you look at that gap, you want to say, okay, Meta can fill somewhere in between. Where was it before? 221. So 221 to 234. So somewhere, if Meta is going to draw back, I would look for some support right around 221, 222. So I still think Meta has 4.5%, 5% to go to the downside. With that said, Romeo is live trading today. So if you want to join our Discord, please do. You'll have some live trading nice and early in the morning. Also, I'll be back tomorrow morning live at 8:25 p.m. Again, CPI is coming out at 8:30. So please join me for the live stream. Bring questions. Ask what you'd like to have me answer. And please, if you watch me this long, thumbs up. Everything YouTube does is algorithm based. So the thumbs up, the comments, they help show the video out to others. With that said, have a fantastic day. And I will be on Discord at 9 a.m. Romeo will be doing live trading. I'll give my market update around 11. And again at 1 p.m. Have a fabulous day, everybody. See you guys tomorrow.